Hey, guess what? If this video doesn't do well, I'm gonna sell you. Hey everyone, welcome to this video, and today I'm going to be turning my Miniature Dachshund Blu aka the Sausage, into a zombie on Photoshop. I'm also going to be giving commentary on top of the video to let you know exactly how I did it. If you did like it, guys, don't forget to smash that like button, because if you don't, she's going to the sausage factory. Don't forget to stick around at the end of this video, guys, where I'll put all the outtakes in, just how long this intro took to make. With all that said, let's not waste any more time and let's get straight into the video. Okay guys, let's get straight into this. First we need to remove the background layer from our reference image of Blue. Photoshop's done a pretty good job of it, but I've had to make just a few more adjustments, fine tuning it. Then also bring the back there, which I've accidentally deleted. I've added a hue and saturation adjustment layer to this. Then I'm going to invert it. I'm going to select soft brush, turn the opacity down, and then start painting on the eyes to get our zombie looking eyes. Then I'm going to add a solid colour adjustment layer of red. Again, invert it and use a soft brush and just gently start bringing those red circles around the eyes to get that zombie effect. Okay, so this is where we bring our first reference image into the scene. It's marble under a microscope, which I've turned red. We're going to turn the opacity down on it, free transform it, and then start using the warp tool, make it a bit more manageable, and then copy that across to the other eye and label veins right, veins left, invert them both, and then just start with the soft brush bringing those veins in, then strengthen the pupils. So next we're going to add our reference image of barbecued meat, and this is going to be Blue's ribs showing through the fur. So first I've added a vector mask to it, and then we're going to start warping it into a more manageable shape. We've inverted the layer, turned up the opacity, and then we're going to label that ribs. Then we're going to add a brightness adjustment layer, clip it to the ribs layer, and then start monkeying around with the levels. I've added another adjustment layer on that because this is going to be our shadow, inverted, and then start painting on. Next reference image is a kebab. Any guesses what it's going to be? Brains. It's going to be Blue's brains. So I've just sampled a little piece of that reference image, then I've inverted the layer and I'm just painting it on. It doesn't look much at the moment. It looks pretty terrible, to be fair, but it won't do after we've added a few adjustment layers. So we're messing around with the vibrance layer at the moment. Then we're going to add brightness and contrast, and it still looks a bit stuck on, so we need to add some shadows to it. So to do this, we're going to create another brightness layer, turn the brightness right down so it looks dark like this. Then we're going to invert it, label it first, call it brain shadow, and then we're going to start painting some shadows on our inverted layer. Now the fur looks a bit off now, so we need to create a brightness adjustment layer on Blue's head, invert that, and that allows us then to paint the shadows on the fur. So next reference image is an animal skull. All I want from this is the eye socket. I'm just going to crop that down, label that eye socket, going to add a mask to it, and then I'm going to add an adjustment layer of hue, saturation, and then I'm just going to start messing with the levels on this. I also added a black and white adjustment layer to this because the original image had a bit of a blue tinge to it. Going to flip that horizontal, and then I'm going to start warping it into shape so it tends to fit Blue's eye a little bit better than what the original did. After messing with the opacity a little bit, I'm going to remove the inners of the eye socket, and now I'm just starting to blend it in to Blue's face. Adding a few more adjustment layers there and a linear burn on the blend mode. Now I'm adding shadow around Blue's left eye. I did that by making Blue completely dark and then inverting the layer, which will give us our shadow layer. Next reference image is our bacon. I mean, who doesn't like bacon? Well, maybe vegetarians and vegans, but this bacon is going to be Blue's ear. So I've added a vector mask to this, and then I've started to warp it, invert it, and then we're going to start bringing it back with the brush I'm using for this is like a scratchy charcoal type brush. Then, because it looks a bit weird and stuck on, I'm adding a hue saturation layer and clipped it to the ear. I'm also going to add a brightness adjustment layer and also clip that to it. And now it just needs some shadow. So to do this, I added a further brightness layer, labelled it ear shadow, turned the brightness right down on it so it's dark, change the blend mode to different so it's nice and darker, and then invert it, and then simply paint round the sides of it, which will give us our shadow. And by doing this, it makes the picture just look a lot more dynamic. Next, we've got a photograph of my golden retriever Violet, and I'm just going to steal her bottom teeth. I'm sure she won't mind. So I'm using a pencil tool here, just going around there, cutting that out, and then we're going to bring that onto our zombie image. And the teeth, they look ridiculous to say the least at the moment because they've got no shadow or depth on them, but it'll be okay once we've made all the appropriate adjustments. So we'll just add in some saturation layers and brightness, contrast, just to make them start blending. I've created a layer here called Mouth Shadow, which is basically a dark version of blue, and then I'm just bringing the mouth back. So this is Violet's fang, which we're going to use on blue, and I'm second guessing where that fang would be. I'm not happy with the position of it there, so I will move it in a moment. That's better. And then I'm just going to use my favourite tool called Liquify, and I think the mouth will be snarling a little bit, so I'll just move the cheek up there a little bit. Now we've copied the ear layer across to the nose because I think that looks pretty gruesome. And now we're just going to start adding a little bit of depth, a little bit of shadow to make that look like it's part of Blue's face rather than a stuck-on piece of bacon. So next we have even more bacon. This time the bacon is going to be part of Blue's foot. So with this one, what's different from before is we're not going to make loads of adjustments because we're simply going to copy and paste the adjustments from the ear layer and drop them onto the foot layer. Then we're going to make a darker brightness adjustment layer and invert that, and then start bringing back the edges to form our shadow. Next image, raw meat. So with this, we're going to place it in the eye socket, which looks really gruesome but also really cool for our zombie. So we've inverted this layer. We're going to add a hue saturation adjustment layer, clip it to it, and then just start monkeying around with the sliders just to make it blend a little bit better. And it's really cool to have that in there instead of it just being black because it makes the picture a lot more dynamic. Now we're going to add a bit of shadow around the eye. Next onto Liquify, and we're just going to distort the face ever so slightly, just little subtle adjustments just so the face looks not as pleasant. Now we get to the really cool stuff, the blood layer. We're going to bring that layer to the top of all our layers, use a blood brush and slap that blood on there in Blue's face. Now we simply just start removing and really start to refine with a soft brush where we want the blood. Now with blood you don't want to overdo it. If you absolutely cover it, then I think with blood less is more, just to get those nice subtleties. So no zombie picture will be complete without maggots, or at least one maggot, so we're going to chop these down and have it coming out of her eye. And we're just going to refine the edges of this, add a little bit of shadow underneath it. And that looks pretty good. And now we're just going to add more shadow, more depth, and just start really refining everything before I add the background. Now the background that I originally chose, the green background, I didn't like. You can see this here, the gradient. And instead of dragging it to the bottom, I accidentally dragged it to second from the bottom, which I got this weird but cool effect. So now I need to add a shadow, so I created a solid black adjustment layer, inverted it, brought the shadow in, changed the background to one I liked, then added a fog layer, which is basically a white solid colour inverted, and then using a fog brush to bring the fog front and back of Blue. Now we're going to create a ground layer, which is a solid colour of green, and then we're going to turn the opacity down on it and then just start deleting some of it with a really soft brush just to give a bit of atmosphere to the scene. Now we want some more shadow on Blue, so I've created another layer, made it really dark, inverted it, and then started bringing back the darks on Blue to give her just a bit more of a dynamic feel in the whole picture. Now we're going to mess with some lighting. We're going to make some adjustments to vibrance, saturation, curves, colour balance, all these things, and all we're looking for really is just to blend everything together. A gave her a slight tinge of green just to match the background. Now we're going to add a bit of grain because with zombies, a lot of zombie films posters have always looked slightly grainy. Now we're going to add some texture, and it's really starting to come together now. You can see all the detail merging into each other. And then finally we're going to add some field blur, and this is where you can actually stick the pins and choose where you want the blur and where you don't want the blur. So we want to emphasize the eyes and blur around the legs. And that is how we turned our sausage dog into a sausage zombie. Wait for me. Wait for your cue. I'm going to say hey everyone, you're going to walk in, okay? Right. Over there, take your schmacko over there, go on. Put my mic on. Hey everyone! Sorry, Blue, just smacked you in the face. Sorry, baby. Blue, I know your brain is tiny, but come on, please. What is that? Sound like a pig. Oh my god, you just farted. What's that noise? Why do you eat like that? Can you stop making that noise? Are you done? Are you done? Yeah. What is that? What is that? Why do you have to eat so loud? Don't snap. Oh, shit. Even your feet are noisy. You smell like bacon. Smells nice. Extra schmackos. Yeah? We got a deal? Right, go over there then. Go over there, you get extra schmackos. There you go. There you go. See? I'm just riding the schmacko train. I've had enough now. Blue, you've had a pack of schmackos and you've not done one thing for me. Oh shit, what was that? Schmacko Queen. You've literally ate a full pack of schmackos. Okay, good girl. I love you really. Like a diva before they're on set. Broke the light. Oh, broke the light. That's a wrap, we did it. Come on, hypo, give me some pop. Some... Totally left me hanging.